I love Season of the Drifter. I like the direction of the game, but it also kind of saddens me at the same time because I love building in this game, and it's one of my favorite things to do is build out for activities. But it seems almost pointless, as if I might as well have a year 1 build on by the time I hit plus 15 tier 3 armor. The recharge rate's ridiculous, high value target damage is ridiculous, and I get tons of ammo where it kind of eliminates the point of a build. My recharge rate perks are kind of useless at that point. Of course they come in handy, but not nearly as much as it does in the rest of the game. And I get it, Gambit Prime is a separate thing from regular PvE, but doesn't mean that you should eliminate builds, Bungie. But anyways, back to topic. Tier 3 Reckoning armor is ridiculously good, but for those who don't have time to do Tier 3 Reckoning but still want to get those recharge rates, that's where I come in with the Shinobu's Reckoning, and it all involves the mid-tree art class. One of the main features of this subclass is Whirlwind Guard. You can spin your staff to block and deflect damage, and then you can do bonus damage afterwards by striking things. Lightning Weave, doing a melee to somebody, grants you the ability to have outlaw reload speeds temporarily, so if you're reloading a slower type weapon, that kind of helps you out. And then most of all, the Ebb and Flow perk, damaging somebody who's electrified drastically recharges your grenade, your melee, and your dodge ability, and keeps those coming back, and that is the main thing we're going to be building around today, is the Ebb and Flow perk. And then finally we have the different type of melee with this class, the Tempest Strike. You do a slide, hit the melee button, they drag the knife across the ground, and do a lightning wake in front of you that basically destroys enemies, and also procs some recharge rates that we'll talk about later as we show the build and what it all can do. And then finally, for all the things you're going to be using with this build as far as your grenade, you're going to want to put on the Skip Grenade. So you have this with the Shinobu's Vow gauntlets that we're going to be talking about. It's all revolving around Shinobu's Vow with this build on, and that is the main feature. Use the Gambler's Dodge because you always get that melee attack back by dodging near an enemy, and that procs your other abilities to keep those recharge rates coming. And then always use the triple jump. It's just the best jump when it comes to aggressive combat. You get more control, a little more height. It's just a better overall option than the other ones in PvE, so always stick with that. Now let's go over the stats of this armor and find out what we're working with. So above all, recovery and recharge rates are what you always want to focus on. If you can't fit 7 and up mobility, screw mobility altogether, because 6 and lower, not really going to feel that much different until you hit that 7 up mark. That's when you start getting some higher speeds and more fluent feel. So just rule of thumb, if you can't get the mobility, don't even try to build for it. Starting with the helmet, 1 mobility, 3 recovery. Use a recovery mod. You're going to do enhanced ashes to assets if you have it, or enhanced heavy lifting. Either one is the best thing for Prime. I would rather have ashes to assets with this build, but I only have the enhanced heavy lifting right now, so this build is not quite optimized all the way yet. Shinobu's Vow gauntlets, 2 mobility, 1 resilience. Use a grenade charge mod on this. We're going to talk about what these grenade charge mods do in just a second, but you get dual skip grenades. They have enhanced tracking, and with the subclass perks, by doing damage and killing things with it, it all procs the recharge rate of it all coming back. And by having these grenade charge mods on these arms, and also on the next piece we're going to talk about, it closes that gap where if you don't have those on, you'll usually have a slight pause, not much of a pause, between getting the grenade back sometimes, and it closes that gap to where you always have grenades all the time whenever you need them. So let's get on to the chest piece. You're going to need a 1 mobility, 1 resilience, and 2 recovery chest piece. Throw that other grenade charge mod on it, and then build for whatever weapons that you decide to use. Of course, with any build, you can do whatever you want to with the weaponry. Just copy the build itself on the armor side of it, and then use whatever weapons you want. Now to the leg piece. It's crucial that you have the 0 mobility, 1 resilience, and then a 3 recovery. With the recovery mod, use the enhanced bomber perk, that's Dreaming City gear, or you can use all of this with the tier 3 reckoning. But if you are going to do tier 3 reckoning, you're not going to need the enhanced bomber, and you're also not going to need those 2 grenade charge mods. We'll talk more about that later, but let's move on to the cloak now. So, taking armaments, you got to have that in Gambit Prime if you want to go absolutely beast mode on the boss. That's going to give you all of your ammo for the boss most of the time. And then by having the recuperation on, like I've always said before, it's the beast thing to have if you're trying to go beast. Get that orb, get that health coming back, keep you in the fight always. Now let's talk about and watch how this build kind of plays, so you can see how it will remind you of some tier 3 Reckoning armor. Look at my recharge rates as they're constantly proccing with this build on. Get the enhanced bomber dodge, those 2 grenade charge mods. All this stuff is going to keep it coming back without any delay, and it's always going to be there right when you need it every time. Use the melee, again, procs because of the subclass perks, damaging electrified enemies with that melee. Bam, get the grenade charge back. Everything stays ready with this build. Anything that you do with this build, it's going to be slaying everything in Gambit Prime, and you're going to be like, why do I need tier 3 Reckoning with this build on? You really don't, except for the Pinata of Death for the Reaper perk, basically. If you don't know what that is, that means if you get like 3 kills, you pretty much get all your ammo for your special back. So it's pretty beast to have. But if you do want to transform this into the Reaper version, don't use the grenade charge mods at all. Throw the recovery mods in their place. And then don't use enhanced bomber, use traction, because you're not going to need anything helping you recharge anything once you unlock plus 15 tier 3 armor. Those grenade charge mods will be irrelevant at that point, and you won't need the enhanced bomber also, because every time you kill an orange bar, you're going to get a surge in your grenade recharge and pretty much get 3 grenades just by killing 1 orange bar enemy. It's retarded. But like I said, this build is for people that still want to get those recharges, and I'm just trying to show you right here how you always have some grenades going on every time. Do the dodge, get the 10 seconds off with the enhanced bomber every dodge that you do. Get the taken armaments going, get some more taken armaments going, proc that heavy ammo, that way you maximize your boss damage. That way you're still a key player, even though you don't have the tier 3 armor on, you're still able to do some work with this build on. Hit that dodge, let's get that grenade back, almost coming back to us. We'll do that melee, now we got the grenade back, so we can work on getting taken armaments proc. It's going to fill up all of our heavy ammo, and just go freaking ham on this boss. Such a beast setup. It's got decent recovery. I had to choose between 9 recovery or closing the gap with that grenade, and I chose closing the gap with the grenade because I just had to face the fact, when you are a hunter and you die in Gambit Prime, you're pretty much just dead regardless of where the recovery's at, but I also don't want to leave it with nothing. So 8 is always what I strive for, but if anything, 7 is the lowest I'll ever go, but I always try to go 8 and higher with any of my builds. So like I said, if you want to get the tier 3 version of this, all you got to do is replace the grenade mods with recovery mods, take the enhanced bomber off and put traction on to enhance your mobility a little bit better. That way you're more just agile and more fluent during combat, and then you'll have those ridiculous recharge rates. This is what battle kind of seems like against an orange bar. One of these beefy tank guys, you're kind of just screwed in a lot of ways, but Shinobu's Reckoning got you covered all the time. Dual grenades all the time with this. It's just, the damage is still good on them as well, so you can still just maintain being an army of 1 by not needing all the tier 3 armors. You know what I mean? That was the whole purpose of this build, to help other people out and keep you running and gunning. That's what I like to design builds for, and that's the thing that I don't really like about the DLC. I like proccing those perks, but I feel like sometimes the whole aspect of building in this game kind of just gets taken away, because you kind of don't want to take off your tier 3 Reckoning gear once you get it to change to something else when you're doing strikes or whatever. I'm still going to have strike armor builds and nightfall armor builds and then the prime armor builds, but I used to have it to where I could take my PvE builds into Gambit and still make those wreck just as well. But I mean, I get the idea and the growth of the game, but I just kind of miss the idea of really building out for it and making my build be what was basically going to make me win, not the fact that I have plus 15 recharge rates and taking armaments, and that's really all you need mixed with an exotic. You know, it's kind of what it seems like a little bit. But either way, Shinobu's Reckoning is always going to be ready for you. It's going to slay just the same, so you don't really need that unless you just want to have the armor. But if you don't have the DLC and are playing regular Gambit and you want to see what those recharge rates feel like, that's what you get with this build. It's freaking nasty. It's beast. It keeps going, keeps running and gunning. You got great recovery. You got great recharge. You got all that you need in Gambit and PvE in general. So dudes, I hope that really helped you out. Anybody needing to grab that build to get it edged to hang with these tier 3 plus 15 players, this build will definitely do it for you. But overall, I really am enjoying Season of the Drifter. I just kind of feel like sometimes the tier 3 armor is a little bit cheap, where the game doesn't really focus on the building aspect as much as it does on just getting that armor, putting it on. It doesn't matter what the perks are on the armor, You get all your recharge and everything kind of just done for you. You get all your ammo from it. It's a beast thing to have, don't get me wrong. But I do like building, and I wish that my build was the reason that I won, not because I just went and grabbed some random piece of tier 3 armor, and that was what made me beast harder. You know what I mean? So let me know what you think about it as well. I'd like to hear your opinion, and if you've thought about that, or maybe see it as kind of a cheap way. But join my Discord, hit that sub button, and I'll catch y'all next time in space.